Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim is facing mounting pressure following a 3-1 defeat away to Brentford. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has himself been in talks with Sir Gareth Southgate over the possibility of him filling the slot. And of course, Michael Carrick has also hinted that he might be interested in throwing his hat in the ring. Over in London, Arsenal are looking to secure their team. William Saliba has just signed a new long-term deal, but how far is the team willing to go to keep Bukayo Saka? And lastly, there was a lot of surprise last night as Nuno's opening decision to bench James Ward-Prowse. The previous vice-captain for West Ham was not injured, but Nuno had said that this was the best decision for the team. To discuss all of that is Alex Crook, talkSPORT's chief football correspondent. So we've seen at your club and mine that Man United has lost 17 Premier League games under Ruben Amorim. We're hearing at talkSPORT that there's whispers that it could be Gareth Southgate or Michael Carrick, but what is the latest?
Well, the latest, as far as Manchester United are concerned, is that Ruben Amorim retains the backing of Ineos, retains the backing of Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who, despite the fact he is only the minority owner, he is very much the main decision maker. But I think there's also an acceptance at board level that results need to improve. It's 33 Premier League games, 34 points from those 33 Premier League games. Ruben Amorim still yet to win back-to-back matches. He's been in charge almost a year. They've got Sunderland at home next, which is not a guarantee of a Manchester United victory. When you look how Sunderland have started the season, some difficult games after the upcoming international break. They go to Liverpool. They've got Brighton at home as well. So it does feel like this is crunch time as far as Amorim is concerned. And we reported over the weekend that Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe are actively looking now at potential replacements. That's not unusual. Most clubs have a succession plan. You've mentioned Gareth Southgate. I'm told there have been recent conversations between Gareth Southgate, Sir Gareth Southgate and Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And Michael Carrick had a 3-game spell in interim after Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was sacked back in 2021. Did okay, actually. 1-2, drew 1 of those 3 games in charge, including a home win against Arsenal. And it's my information that if Carrick got the call, then he would entertain the idea of returning. And in fact, he was part of the conversation when Ruben Amorim was appointed. I think the issue United have got, and they had this to a certain extent with Amorim, modern managers are reluctant to take a job mid-season, particularly those who are already in work. So you look at Oliver Glasner, you look at Andoni Iraola. I think it would be very unlikely that Iraola, who is also admired by Manchester United, would leave Bournemouth halfway through the season. So if they have to go down the interim route and put someone in charge until the end of the season, then I think Michael Carrick would very much come into the conversation.
Right. So if you take away your knowledge and your job and all that kind of stuff, and you are just talking as a fan, obviously I could just say, what do you think of Ruben Amorim? And I could get a 20-minute video out of you and you'd be fuming. But who do you genuinely want as Man United manager?
Do you know what? I think that is such a difficult question. And it's a question that Ineos will be wrestling with, because you look around at the candidates that are out there. I don't think there is an obvious successor. I can see the case for Oliver Glasner, who's done a wonderful job at Crystal Palace, won the FA Cup. They're in the top 4 in the Champions League, in the Premier League. Nobody saw that coming, them competing for a Champions League place, potentially 18 games unbeaten. And he plays the same system that this squad has been built for. So there's a lot of positives when it comes to him. I think what's key, and what I'm being told, is that United want someone with experience of English football.
Yes.
So I don't think they would go down the up-and-coming European manager again. They did that with Erik ten Hag. Worked at first, but unravelled pretty quickly. They've certainly done it with Ruben Amorim, and for me, it's not worked at all.
No.
I think we can all accept that. I can't give you a standout candidate. I think there's a lot of Manchester United fans who would be against the idea of Sir Gareth Southgate.
Yes, I think so. I think also it's almost unfortunate to go from international to club level, because everyone's either really mad at you or they love you already, so you probably will struggle there.
And also, if you look at Sir Gareth's club career, it was a relegation at Middlesbrough.
Of course, yeah. So it's not really a track record. But I suppose, as a Man United fan, can you really be as choosy now? I'm not sure, because would you want the job when you know that looking at you?
I had this debate with Jeff Stelling on breakfast a couple of days ago when I suggested that Iraola may be reluctant at this stage to make the step up from Bournemouth to Manchester United, and Jeff pushed back and said, is it really a step up? Well, of course it is, because Iraola is the Bournemouth manager. This is Manchester United. It isn't the Manchester United of old. It may never be the Manchester United of old, but it's an attraction, I think, for some up-and-coming manager to turn around a sleeping giant.
Yeah, I suppose,
reawaken a sleeping giant.
Yeah, what a legacy that would be as well, to be the person who brought them back as well.
And it's very financially rewarding. That's another issue when
Yeah.
it comes to Ruben Amorim. Obviously, if they sack him before the 1 year anniversary of him taking over, then it's going to cost more in terms of compensation.
Absolutely, yeah. So let's move over to Arsenal now. So they don't want to lose Saka. That's just a fact. So they're looking at maybe even hiring the wage into the next tax bracket, we should probably say. But what is the latest that you've heard on this?
Yeah, William Saliba obviously has been tied down. That's a massive deal announced this morning, 5-year contract. I understand that he has got a pay rise to around £250,000 a week. That's a 5-year deal, as I say, until 2030. And I think when Andrea Berta came in as sporting director, as well as reinforcing the squad, one of his main priorities was tying down not just Saliba, but Bukayo Saka as well.
Yep.
So we're expecting contract talks to ramp up. At the moment, I think I'm right in saying that Kai Havertz, on around about £280,000 a week, is Arsenal's top earner. I think this new deal for Saka would give him at least parity with that, if not go beyond it and maybe get close to the £300,000 a week mark. That would reflect Saka's importance to Arsenal and the fact they know that if he was to become available for transfer, all of the big clubs in Europe would be interested in signing him.
Yeah, do you think that's kind of preparation for January in the summer, but also, deserved, like he should maybe earn the most?
Yeah, I mean, he's the poster boy of the academy. He's been a driving force in their emergence as genuine title contenders in the past few seasons. I think he's going to have a massive role to play for England at the World Cup come next summer. And I think as well as getting their key players tied down, it sends out a message to other players that are there that actually this is the place to be. These players believe in Mikel Arteta. They believe in the project, and it will even help attract new signings come the summer transfer window as well.
Well, I mean, they're already off to a good start. So if they think that they're in the running for a title, and a lot of people do think that as well, that just makes it more and more attractive. But people are going to go for Saka as soon as they can, do you think? Like, what do you think that when it hits next summer that everyone's just going to hop on him?
I'm told that Arsenal ideally want this contract signed by January.
Yeah.
By which time we'll be in the last 18 months of his contract, and that is sort of the danger zone for clubs when it comes to losing their top players.
Lastly, West Ham. So it's a bit of a weird one with West Ham because it kind of seems out of nowhere. And maybe that's just from an outsider looking in perspective. But obviously they've lost Potter, and then out of nowhere, Nuno is the manager. Straight away, he's benching people. So what do we think is actually happening there? Like, are we dropping Ward-Prowse forever? Like, what's going on?
Well, I think James Ward-Prowse probably would have turned off the radio when we broke the news on Saturday morning that Nuno was coming in because he had a loan spell at Nottingham Forest, which I think was actually cut short because he wasn't getting picked by Nuno Espirito Santo. So I don't think it's a massive surprise even to Ward-Prowse that he's not a Nuno type of player. I think Nuno wants more legs in midfield, but it is quite a brutal thing to do pretty much on your first day at the club, not to take a player who had been made vice-captain by Graham Potter. He'd started every Premier League game this season, to not even take him on the coach to Merseyside for that game against Everton. It is Nuno Espirito Santo, I think, laying down the law and asserting his authority quite early. It wasn't just Ward-Prowse. There was no place for Jean-Claire Todibo, and I'm told he's quite a negative influence in the dressing room, so maybe that's something that that Nuno is going to have to deal with. When it comes to Ward-Prowse, my expectation is that he'll be made available for transfer in January. Will he get another Premier League club? I'm not entirely convinced. I could easily see a scenario where he ends up back on loan at Southampton, where of course he's spent most of his career.
Do you think do you think it's a personal thing, or it's just
No, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, Ward-Prowse is pretty much the nicest footballer you'll ever meet.
That's what I was thinking.
And as ruthless as Nuno is, I don't necessarily think there's a personality clash. I think it purely comes down to a stylistic issue that, as I say, Nuno wants more legs in midfield. And I have to say, speaking to West Ham fans, they have highlighted Ward-Prowse in that midfield area as a big part of their problems at the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean, he did say he's not injured. It's a tough decision, but it's the best thing for a team. But is it just that shock of coming in? Like, if you were to come in as a manager and just straight off the bat, just make a really harsh decision, are you just kind of saying, I don't care what the media says, I don't care what the fan says, I'm like solely focused on the job? Or do you kind of do the kind of sidestepping around it? Like, maybe would you see more managers let people play at the first game without kind of stepping on toes and then come in hot?
I don't think he had any time to waste, really. And that, the timing, even getting rid of Graham Potter, felt quite brutal because he did the press conference on Friday and then he was sacked on Saturday. Obviously on Friday they hadn't got a full agreement with Nuno, and there was a chance that Potter would be in charge still on Monday night. And then you get to Saturday, Potter's at the training ground, and the argument is, well, why don't you just let him have one more game and then sack him? You know, do it with a bit more dignity. But they made such a bad start to the season. I think they'd have lost at Everton if Graham Potter was still manager.
Yeah.
By making the change, they picked up an extra point on their tally. So I think Nuno is going to come in. He's going to want to hit the ground running. They've got a difficult game away from home against Arsenal next up. But then after the international break, they're playing a lot of the teams you would expect to be in and around the relegation battle. So he's going to put his hallmarks on his team right from the off.
Well, there you have it. Thank you very much, Kirky, for your time. Drop what you think below. And of course, you can keep across all of the latest news stories on talkSPORT, whether that is on the radio, digitally, or on our website. This video is in association with our own bookie, talkSPORT Bet. So download the app or go to the website talksportbet.com to find out more. There's 18 plus, T's and C's apply, begambleaware.org.